August 21st, 2021. The time is 7:23 p.m. And of course, I am reaching out to you this evening to share an experience that I just had. So let me get right into it. Of course, this is Saturday and I've been relaxing most of the day. I did a few chores and other things early on, groceries, that kind of stuff. But other than that, I've just been trying to relax and to come down from a tiring and busy week, as I'm sure many of you have had. And now, what I like to also share with you when I talk about these experiences, and by the way, this was a beyond body experience, no doubt to me that this was beyond body. But also, if it were an astral projection experience, I like to share with you whether I had intent, I was focused on actually doing this, or I was just relaxing and it just happened. Very important for me to share that with you. In this case, I did have intent to actually leave my body this afternoon. And so the first time I did it, the first time I attempted it, I failed. I went to sleep. Now, this is another important thing. I want to make sure you know that despite the fact that I've had 40 plus years of having these experiences and doing this, that I do fail. I want to make sure you understand that I do end up falling asleep, and that's it. So that first time I fell asleep. Now, just so you know, on that first occasion, I had on storm sounds. For some reason, I have started changing the storm sounds just slightly. There are these videos on YouTube that I've found of people who are just walking in a storm. So before on other storm sounds, I've just had stuff that was recorded. Probably they recorded a storm and then maybe they loop it or something like that. But on recently, I have been using these videos where, the person may be in Japan or maybe some other country out there in the world, and they're just walking during a storm and they have their umbrella, and I can hear the raindrops against their umbrella as they're walking. I could also hear their footsteps. I've been using that lately, just experimenting, seeing if that works out. This first time, it did not. I guess no. I can't say that in of itself didn't work, the actual sounds, because despite the fact that it didn't work the first time, the second time I laid down because I was like, okay, I'm going to try it again. And this is another thing that might hopefully help those of you who are struggling with having an experience. The other lesson I think to learn here is if you fall asleep that first time and you have time to make another attempt, make another attempt. Why not? You can make a second or third attempt if you want. Those attempts may not succeed. Thankfully, I guess I could use the word thankfully. The second time I laid down, again, I was using the same type of storm sounds where someone had recorded themselves walking in a storm. It succeeded. I felt myself go into that in-between place. I came off of my bed, and once, it was so interesting, guys, once I got off the bed in this particular beyond body experience, and side note, as I like to always explain to people, because I don't assume that everyone coming on and watching this particular video has seen previous videos on the beyond body. The difference between the beyond body and astral projection for me is when one astral projects, there is an actual separation. You feel the separation from your body. Your spirit being is separating from your body, and you actually feel that separation. With the beyond body, which is sort of this new thing that started happening to me, I guess it's been 5 years since it really began after my accident. It doesn't feel as if I am separating from my body at all. It just feels as if my body is either rolling one way or coming off the bed another way or floating into the air. I don't feel separation, and that's what's really, truly interesting about the beyond body. Anyway, so I went on to the ground, and after I went on to the ground, or at least that's the feeling that I got, I got the feeling that I came off my bed and then I was on the floor. And I didn't move after that. It was interesting. I felt like I was gonna move more, but there was this sense once I came off that was it. So guys, this was a very, 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 very short trip. And I was very much within the neighborhood of this universe. I was very, very close. I recall standing up, and it's interesting. There are times when there is darkness, as I told you, and that darkness lifts. This time I didn't get that much of a sense that there was darkness. It felt like as soon as I went on the floor that I was able to see. And I remember some reason the carpeting seemed to be light. Now, when I stood up, of course, when I stand up or when the darkness lifts, when I first begin to take in a place, I don't usually, I almost never know where I'm going to end up. I really don't know, which is, again, part of what's very interesting about these experiences. I was in, as I stood up, almost an identical replica of my apartment. I mean, down to the bookcases and everything. I mean, I've talked about this before as well. There are times when this happens where I have to really think, did I actually go somewhere, or did I did I fall off my bed and now I'm up and I'm looking around and I'm in my apartment and I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't done anything. But the one thing I noticed was I believe the carpeting in this version of my apartment was lighter, maybe beige. The other difference, again, everything else was identical except for the things I'm going to point out to you that I remember about this. I had a laptop on my desk. I had something else, but I did not have a microphone, and I did not have a desktop, because my desk, my setup now presently is my laptop on my left side, my desktop on my right side. I have I'm sure just like many of you, a router, modem, those types of things. In this version of my apartment, none of those things were there. I did not have a modem. I did not have a router. I did not have a desktop. I simply had a laptop, and then I had something else, and I don't quite remember. It may have been like a keyboard or something, but that was it. And the laptop was completely disconnected, which was really weird, and was completely dark. That was really strange. And it's so funny. I always go through this moment when I come to another version of my place where I panic, like, oh my goodness, where is my, whatever. If there's something missing, I always think somebody stole something or I was robbed or something. And then even though I realized from the very beginning that this was going to be a different place, I still panic a little bit when stuff is missing. So those are the things that were missing. I looked to my right side, and in my present apartment, there's a patio, and there was a patio, or at least there was a glass door that I could slide open in this place as well. But there was a difference, actually. This wasn't a patio. As soon as I slid the door open, the glass door, I was able to go right out into the parking lot. Now, there is also a parking lot just beyond my patio for my apartment building, but in this version of my apartment and in this version of my building, the parking lot was literally right there. Like, as soon as I would open the patio door, I could walk out into the parking lot and then I could see cars. Now, the reason why I turned and decided to go outside of my patio was because I saw a very beautiful young woman. She was African American. She was looking at me. And I had the sense that either this person was my girlfriend or my wife. I wasn't exactly, it's so interesting. I should say this. When I was there, I'm certain that I was sure of whether this, what this person was to me, girlfriend or wife. I know I was very close to her. She had short hair. I think she had dark brown skin. And when she saw me through the patio door, I keep saying patio door, but there was really no patio there. It was a parking lot. Through the glass door, when I slid it open, she was smiling. So I walked out and we started talking because she was on her way somewhere, but she stopped and she turned and she was talking with me. Now, this is interesting. Another thing that I want to point out to you, and something I'm beginning to realize, because I like to tell you guys when I begin to have suspicions about things, or when I begin to see things that I think are telling me what something is. I'm beginning to feel that there is almost a sort of duality, or like I'm coming into, at least in this situation, coming into a version of myself in a parallel reality or a parallel universe. And that part is actually having a conversation. I'm actually having a conversation, even though it's not me having the conversation. I am having it. I'm hoping to God that I'm not confusing you. It's a very weird, very strange thing. It's like I'm there and I'm inside this person that's me, and this person's having a conversation. But I also feel as if I'm talking and having the conversation with the person and everything is normal. So I'm going to continue to experiment and see about this, but I think that may have been the case here, because my girlfriend / wife was talking about a court case. She was an attorney. I think she was a defense attorney, and I think she may have just passed the bar very, very recently. And she was telling me about some case that she had with someone. Now, I don't remember all the details of the case that we were talking about. I was looking around as well as we were talking, and I recall that the cars in the parking lot did not fit, guys. It just didn't. I mean, they looked like they were from the 70s, maybe the early to mid to late 70s, maybe 1974, 1975. It just didn't fit. I mean, back then, I was growing up, I was a little kid, and I did never remember even having a computer or anything. But yeah, these cars, they just looked too old to me. And the car she started heading towards as we were talking was a station wagon. I remember it very distinctly. Older station wagon, again, early 70s, brown. And I distinctly remember there were scratches on the passenger side of the door. I also remember thinking to myself that the area that we were in wasn't the best area. For some reason, that was another thought that I had in my mind as we were talking about this. So, as she was getting ready to get into the car, I started losing my grip on this reality. But then suddenly I remembered that if I took a deep breath, that I might be able to hold on. So that's exactly what I did. I took a breath, and when I did, it was so weird. This is where it gets strange, guys. There's always a really strange part to my experiences. When I took this deep breath, suddenly the person had disappeared. This woman had disappeared. The car had disappeared. And there was only another person that was standing there, a man. He was black. He just suddenly kind of appeared, just materialized. It was really weird. I believe this may have been one of those things where it was a trigger, as I've told you about before. And I think I may have asked this person what place this was, and the person just kind of stared at me. I don't think the person responded. And then I said, that's fine. I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell people about this, because I do believe that people need to know that there are parallel universes. And that was it. I lost my grip after that. I couldn't hold on anymore. Anyway, that was it, guys. That was my experience. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.